it's Leah and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be reviewing the Pokemon Detective Pikachu film that just dropped last night. I've been talking about this movie forever, so it's about time I review it. If you guys haven't watched my trailer reaction to that, make sure to go check those out. Before we get started, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe down below, and let's start talking about Detective Pikachu. So the movie starts off with Detective Harry Goodman goes missing, and it's up to his son, Tim, who's like 21 or something, to pair up with his Pokemon, who just happens to be Pikachu, and figure out what's going on in Rhyme City with the Pokemon, and literally there you have the entire movie. The one interesting thing is that Tim can understand Pikachu, which obviously is not something that is common, and we do find out why later, but I will talk about that in a moment. I do want to say right off the bat, if we're just talking about surface level impressions, I was not impressed. I think that I did go into this expecting a little too much. I think if you go into the film expecting it to be a spectacular showstopper, jaw-dropping, edge of your seat, like, you're gonna be let down. And that's kind of how I feel. Now that I've had time to reevaluate why I feel that way, I kind of feel like if I just went in there expecting a fun film that reminded me of, like, my childhood, and you know, those little moments scattered throughout where you see the magic of the Pokemon characters and you go, oh my gosh, look, it's Squirtle, or oh my gosh, look, it's, you know, I think that those are the moments that really hold the film together, not to mention the spectacular CGI, but other than that, I was left a little unimpressed. Going a little deeper into the film, obviously you're going to encounter spoilers now, so if you don't want to be spoiled on Detective Pikachu, then go watch one of my other videos, or just keep watching. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like Endgame spoilers. But I just want to get out of the way. I think that the first 2 acts of the film were somehow boring. I'm not sure why or how you can even make Pokemon boring, but I think it had a lot to do with the acting, which fell a little flat, and I also think that it fell flat mostly due to the script and the dialogue that was chosen. I don't know. That's just kind of how I felt. Also, I do want to say something that's really strange is that Pikachu had fingers and he was using them, and that was weird to me. He was pointing his little tiny little finger that was like the size of a pin and kept waving it all around. But that brings me to something that I did enjoy is the adult humor that was scattered throughout. It had some good laughs in there. That was definitely really fun. It helped pick up the film. But I think the biggest thing that the film has going for it is it's obviously showcasing all of our favorite Pokemon characters in a great way. I think the best part of this film was definitely the last act, although it had a problematic ending that was slightly irritating, and I was sitting in the theater among others going, what? So it has a slightly problematic ending that I'm not too thrilled about, but they did work really well with all of the Pokemon characters. I think the action in the last act was actually pretty impressive compared to the first 2 acts where I was just a little bored, and I never thought I would say I was bored, which is the strangest thing to me. I think one of the main problems I had is they explained everything into minute detail. They started over-explaining things and pointing out the obvious, and I think that adds to a lot of the script and the dialogue that was written. You would see something happen and then they would say it, but not in like a you're trying to be funny and point out the obvious. It was just kind of like, oh, this happened. Let me know in the comments down below if that's something that happened during the film that kind of irritated you a little bit, especially towards the end when they kept saying things that they had already basically shown, and I kind of got a little bit, I mean, I know that it works for both adults and children, this film, but it made it seem way more juvenile than it was. My last 2 issues, and I guess the main spoilers, my last 2 major issues are with the ending. It seems as though I wouldn't call it plot holes per se, but the entire ending with the whole Mewtwo and the mind swap control, and the whole time all he had to do was rip the headset off of his head. It kind of made it seem like, I don't know, that was something that just really irritated me. I kept thinking the whole time, I was like, okay, why are you guys doing this? Another example of when they did something that seemed completely out of place, silly, and obvious is when they broke in to the center And they didn't once think, oh, there's cameras, or maybe there's surveillance. Like, I'm breaking into a high-tech, high-security experiment lab. Cameras? Oh, wow. Like, that really bothered me. Like, I don't know. It was just a lack of logic. Maybe that's how to explain it, a lack of sound logic, not juvenile, because I know that even in Pokemon, when something would happen, like if you're watching the show, things would happen, and they thought of those things. It just seemed like there was a disconnect. And the last thing that really irritated me was the ending. But we find out at the end that the soul of Tim's father was put into Pikachu by Mewtwo to save his father and preserve his soul so that he could be brought back. Okay, cool. Got that. I was like, all right, makes sense. Don't know why, but I was not expecting in a million years for Ryan Reynolds to walk up with his salt and pepper hair and be like, how you doing, Tim? I'm your father. I just thought that was the weirdest thing ever. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I was expecting, but that was just odd. Like, I just thought it was so strange. And then the way that they went about it the entire film, not showing his face, only showing his back, like even the photos with the mom, and like it was just really, really awkwardly planned out of how they were gonna reveal this, or how they were gonna be like, hey, Ryan Reynolds. I don't know. It just seems so odd. I laughed because of how it was cringy. Like, I don't know, it wasn't cringy that he was his father, it was just cringy the way that they went about it, and I was like, ooh, this is not okay. Like, I don't know what I was expecting. I definitely am gonna see this again, probably when it comes out on Blu-ray or Netflix or streaming device, because I'm not gonna pay to go see it again. But I think that if I go in it just expecting a little bit of more of a relaxed and fun vibe rather than I'm gonna be blown away by this film, still would be hard to overlook the beginning of the film. It's very slow, very odd, very flat. The acting was not that great, in my opinion, but definitely want to go see it again. Maybe I'll do a second thoughts video. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. I could have just sat there and watched Pokemon like the entire time, like no people, just get rid of Rhyme City, just like have CGI Pokemon, and I would have been happy. Like a giant Snorlax in the middle of the street. Come on. But yeah, that's my review of Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Make sure if you haven't already that you subscribe to my channel down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.